Yay!
Hi, Will. How are you?
Kathy Chu, good to see you.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear
Good.
me?
Hold on one second. Will, I'm having a little problem with audio. Can you say something again?
Let's see. By the big red barn in the great green field, there was a pink pig who was learning to squeal.
Fantastic.
That's the beginning of a very good kid's
Okay.
book.
It sounds like it. Okay, just one second.
I'm not sure this internet thing is going to catch on, honestly, Kathy. It's so complicated.
Okay, let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to Crypto Defined for June 9th, 2022. My name is Kathy Chu, and I'm your host for this weekly interview series where we look at the innovators, the disruptors, and the skeptics of a crypto industry that has reached 3 trillion at its height. Crypto Defined is produced by TruthDAO, the first global Web3 news organization focusing on nonpartisan, unbiased journalism. Visit truthdao.xyz, join our Discord and Telegram groups, and discover a new way to news. Today's guest is Will Pemble, who calls himself a Web 1 pioneer, a Web 2 leader, and a Web 3 futurist. Will built and sold Web.com, one of the first and largest domain name registrars in the world. He's been an executive coach, and his latest adventure is the Coaster Punks project. It's an NFT collection he founded to help create the very first carbon neutral roller coaster on Earth. Will and his kids have built 5 backyard roller coasters and been featured on Good Morning America, Discovery Channel, and Netflix. Thank you, Will, for being with us today.
Thanks, Kathy. It it's like I always feel so silly when I listen to those when I listen to that list of things which were all undertaken just to avoid having a real job. That's why I did all that stuff.
Well, you've done some very interesting things in your career, Will. And I was remembering the last time we talked, where we talked about Web 1.0, Web 2, and Web 3. And that's actually my first question for you today. Last time we talked, you mentioned that a long career in various areas of the technology world, after a long career, you thought that you were done and that crypto was something for the younger generation. Do you remember that?
I was
Now,
really
what
hoping.
changed your mind about this?
Well, I mean, what changed my mind about it is kind of what changes my mind about most preconceived notions, which is that like I try to look for patterns in all things, and so I run around and I consult with people and I talk to clients and they ask me questions and I usually say I don't know, what do you think, and then we come to the answers. But over several months ago now, um, I had a client who said, "Hey, what's all this crypto blockchain and NFT stuff?" And I was like, "You know what? You better just go ask a 25-year-old about that sort of thing." I did my disrupting a while ago, and and they were like, "Yeah, okay." And then next client, nothing. Next client is like, "Hey, what's all this crypto blockchain NFT stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, I go find a 25-year-old." And then another client a couple of weeks or days later, another client's like, "Hey, what's all this crypto blockchain NFT stuff?" And I'm like, "All right, you know what? Fine, I'll figure it out." And so what happens is when I get asked a question by different people in different industries, in different geographies at different time, and that same question or that same idea keeps popping up, I've learned to take that seriously. I stopped thinking of it as a question from an individual person, or an inconvenience to me personally, and I start thinking of it as kind of, without getting too woo woo about it, I start kind of thinking of it as sort of a sign from the universe. It's a pattern, and so enough people ask me something and I don't want to have anything to do with it, I'll reach a frustration point where, like, you know what, fine, I'm going to go in and I'm going to figure it out and learn it. And so that's what got me curious about an industry that I really would have been, I would have been perfectly fine just like leaving that to the next gang. But people kept asking.
Okay, now your Coaster Punks project. Want to talk about that, but I think it's very important for people to understand your history and why you got interested in roller coasters. Because roller coasters and NFTs, that's not something that you naturally would put together, to be quite honest. So you got into roller coasters, building roller coasters rather, when your 11-year-old son, I believe, wished for a roller coaster in the backyard. And if I remember the trajectory correctly, this was a roller coaster that was then covered by Good Morning America, other media, and was also the subject of a Netflix special. So tell us about that. Why did you decide to build a roller coaster for your son? And also, hopefully, you have the expertise to complete the task successfully.
one one would hope. I had so I'll tell you a quick story. While we were building that thing, my neighbor across the street, a guy named Rob Smith, I don't know if you've ever been to Las Vegas and you've seen that big wheel, that big Ferris wheel, giant wheel, 550 feet high thing. Rob Smith, was my next door across the street neighbor, was the engineer who like led that project. So like a real engineer. And I remember on a couple of times during the build, I'd like walk him through and show him show him how I was engineering and building. I was like, hey Rob, some of these posts, they go down almost 2 feet, and he was British and polite. And it was just like, but anyway, that's just, you reminded me of Rob Smith and how kind and thoughtful he was in offering help to me. So so Lyle asked for the coaster, and when he asked me, he's like, Dad, and he wasn't, it wasn't like a Veruca Salt conversation, right? I mean, he was just like, it'd be really cool. It was the day before school started. He was sad because the summer was over. And he said, it'd be so cool if we had a coaster in the backyard. And when he said that to me, it, I thought of a possible future. I thought of a world where like Lyle and I could have and share this adventure together, and we could talk about it, and he could tell his friends about it, and I could show videos at his wedding. And it's just like the whole thing just kind of like played out for me in my mind's eye. And that was the motivation for doing it. And I studied, I'm trained a little bit as an engineer, a little bit as a computer guy. I kind of I know a little about a lot, as they say. And so, and I've always been a tinkerer. I'm always a builder, and I like to iterate. I like to test. I like to do the math. I'm very cautious. I'm trained as a pilot, so you'll never have a pilot get you'll never see a pilot get killed in a crosswalk, because like we clear the area. We can't help it. We look around and we know where everything is before we move anything. So so that was how the thing started. Is Lyle just suggested to me a possible future that could be amazing, and instead of giving him all the grown up reasons why not, I said yes, and we jumped in.
And it's a very interesting video when you watch it, just watching Lyle try the roller coaster and just thinking, oh, is that, it looks like a roller coaster that you would see in an amusement park. Honestly, I haven't seen it in person, but very interesting videos that I've watched with you and your roller coaster as well. So let's talk about coaster punks for a second. Now that we
Sure.
know why you're into roller coasters, the aim of Coaster Punks is basically to crowdfund a mini space mountain, and you call it Moonshot, correct? This project. And it will be built indoors in this space that Will is currently sitting in Connecticut. You can see this cavernous space behind
Yep.
him. I'm sure he'll give us a. There we go. This is the
Yep.
roller coaster will be built indoors in this 3,000 square foot space. I know that you have plans for solar panels also that will enable this to be a carbon neutral roller coaster. And we'll talk about this in a little bit. But tell me first, why do you think that crowdfunding a roller coaster, why will that work? And will there be interest in doing so?
Well, that's that's an awesome question, right? Because and why crowdfunding is an NFT is I think another really good question. And part of it ties back to the homework that my clients have asked me to do for them. It's like, hey, go learn about this space. We need an NFT strategy. I personally believe, and I don't think I'm all alone. I personally believe that 5 years from now, if one sells a house, that transaction will likely be recorded on some blockchain or other, and that deed will likely be an NFT, and title searches will be performed using that technology. It just makes sense, right? It's to me anyway. It's faster. It takes seconds instead of days. Uh, Liz had a joke about that particular notion, and she says, so we could get in a fight at noon, we could decide to get divorced at 12:15, we could list the house at 12:30, it could be bought and sold and the title transferred by 12:45, and we could make up and be homeless at 1 o'clock. And so so but and the short answer is like, yeah, possibly. I mean, you could do transactions faster. What I got interested in about that this crazy idea of, hey, let's build a Space Mountain kind of ride in the warehouses, that's like a really cool idea, but it's also a really expensive idea. And so to go out to the world of roller coaster enthusiasts and say, hey, can you want to pitch in $1 kajillion and help us build something ridiculous, they'd want to help and they'd want to be part of it, but I don't think that we would raise the kind of money that we would need. So if you look at the NFT space, it's a different space, right? From a cynical or a sarcastic perspective, you might say, well, in a lot of ways, the rules of sound business decision making are a little bit suspended in the crypto space, right? There's a little crazy. There's a little speculation. People have a much higher tolerance for risk in the space, and I mean, when we last spoke, I've always told people that if you want to get into the crypto business, you want to buy NFTs, you want to get in, you want to invest in crypto or do any of that sort of stuff. My advice is don't invest or spend any more money than you would be comfortable setting on fire, and you should think about it that way. So like, you could lose all of it. This is a brand new, unpredictable environment, and it's highly volatile. And that was one of the things that I wanted to learn. Why are people paying $300,000 for a JPEG of an ape, right? That's mind-bendingly silly to me, but here we are. So the idea of the NFT was like, let's see if we can fund this thing, and let's see if we can leverage the following, the reputation, the community that I've built, not accidentally, honestly, over the last decade, just about. There's people all over the world who've seen my videos. There's people, and I've spoken to bunches of them, and I think I shared with you one example. There's people who are in engineering school studying to be mechanical engineers and work in the roller coaster industry because they watched my videos when they were 14. They watched my videos 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I've spoken to a bunch of them, and they've been like, "Oh my God, it's you! You taught me how to do this. This is why I'm at it." And so that's an insanely cool feeling when you can have a profound impact on the life of some youngster who's not your own kid. That feels great. So I accidentally, unintentionally tapped into this community once upon a time, and here it is. So we put up the Discord, and when we put the question out there, what if we were to build this crazy thing in this warehouse, and what if we were to fund it with an NFT? Well, now there's several hundred people that are now involved in the project, and they're doing design work, and we've got Disney Imagineers. Here's this is I don't know if you can see it, but this is a 1/12 scale model of the ride vehicle that's going to be the moonshot cart. And there will be 3 of them because we'll be able to run 3 at a time, and it'll seat 2 people. This is part of a bigger 1/12 scale model of this room that was created by a Disney Imagineer, retired Imagineer named Phil Dockery. And Phil has built this entire study model, and you can ride the cart through it. And we're going to be putting out video of it. The model will actually be at NFT NYC in a couple of weeks. And I didn't ask for any of this. And so what I'm wondering is, can we sell Coaster Punk's memberships as, and have your membership card be that NFT? Can we sell Coaster Punk's memberships that will be interesting and awesome and fun for roller coaster enthusiasts, and maybe also interesting and awesome and fun for NFT enthusiasts because the world is full of both. And so that's been the question and the puzzle that started several months ago now, and it's led down this amazingly surprising, delightful path. Dude, here I'm talking to you. That's huge. Some knucklehead like me gets to talk to a former Wall Street Journal serious reporter. That's pretty awesome.
Um, Thank you for that, Will. And we're proud to have you here too. I'm talking to someone who is building roller coasters. So you said something there that was very important, I think. And what struck me the last time we talked is you think very differently about NFTs than some people in the space, I would say. Your views on NFTs is not everyone's views. You don't want people to think of your NFT as an investment that will go up and that will one day be millions of dollars in value. I believe, and I can't remember that exactly you put this, Will, but if you're not willing to have this $500 go down to zero, then don't put your money into my NFT. That's something along the lines of what you said. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the basic deal. And so yeah, because we can't we're in an entirely completely new world, and as I'm sure you and many others have pointed out, especially in the crowd you run with, it's an unregulated world. But the fact that a world is unregulated doesn't mean that there aren't just like common sense rules of decent behavior. And so but let's talk about that investment thing, right? Because we've heard a whole bunch of people just like, oh, I'm going to invest in an NFT. I'm like, well, maybe, but if you're buying it from like a registered broker dealer, yeah, maybe you're investing in an NFT. If you're an accredited investor, maybe you're investing in an NFT. An accredited investor is somebody with, I think, is it like a $2 million net worth or a $200,000 yearly? It's like somebody who's like rich and sophisticated, both of those things. Most of us are neither rich nor sophisticated. We're just like regular working people. And so I don't think of a CoasterPunks NFT as an investment, which is not to say that I don't think that NFT won't hold and perhaps increase in value. But if it does hold its value and if it does increase in value, it will be as a collectible, a comic book, a baseball card, a keepsake, right? Like I went to VCon a couple of weeks ago, Gary Vaynerchuk's conference, and I paid like point 0.2. I think I paid point 0.2 ETH or thereabouts for my ticket, my NFT ticket. The floor price of my NFT ticket today is point 0.4 ETH. And so I went to the conference, I got the benefit, I used it, and now my ticket's worth twice what I paid. I'm not going to sell it because it's a keepsake, right? It's my first NFT conference ticket. I think that's so awesome. So and Gary never said invest in this NFT, it's going to be worth something. He might have said something like invest in yourself, buy a ticket, but that's not the same spirit. It's not the same vernacular. Um, so the CoasterPunks NFT will have some cool utility. There'll be some freebies and perks and stuff that you might get. They're all a little bit different. But it's technically speaking, it's not an investment. It is, but I do think it's a collectible. And if you want to go and resell it, you will have to do the work to go and resell it, list it on an exchange, do the thing, whatever. But like as a passive way of making income, NFTs, I don't know that NFTs are exactly the way to go.
So you're looking for people with this project that are passionate about roller coasters, passionate about aviation, because I know there's some aspects there that you had mentioned. Your community of aviation enthusiasts and roller coaster enthusiasts sometimes intersect. But you're looking at people passionate about this and not just looking to speculate, in other words, and try to turn this over and make another 50,000 the next day. Correct. That's the type of community you're looking for your project.
Yeah, I want to do two things. Well, I want to do a couple of things, right? And so my YouTube channel, all the way back to I think, one of the first videos I ever did is like the tagline that I say at the end of every video is like, thank you for helping me bring physics, family, and fun to kids everywhere. I am Will Pemble. I'll see you soon. Right? And so that's like my little tagline, physics, family, and fun. that's the mission. And that's been the mission of my YouTube channel and what I do forever, right? It's why I do things for local schools. It's why I help teachers. It's why I do all of the things that you'll never see. But everything I do publicly and privately, everything I do, like whenever I go outdoors, is informed by that mission, bringing physics, family, and fun to kids everywhere, because science and math are going to make or break this species. And I believe that in my heart of hearts. So I also am like a business guy. I've got a job to do. I'm supposed to help people figure out, fancy business strategy stuff, which is weird coming from a guy like me, but it's actually true. I'm good at those things. And I think it's my childishness and my silliness that helps in that. One of the main missions of the Coaster Punks project is to, and the reason I'm speaking at NFT NYC and NFT Seattle, and I think there's one in San Francisco, and so there's just like this line of conferences where people want to hear what I have to say about it, and I like to think, I can't get inside anybody else's head, but I like to think the reason for that is that I'm building an NFT project that is exactly what all the NFT people say an NFT project should be, right? You need community, you need engagement, you need to do stuff to make sure that people trust you and you're going to be there. You need all of those things. And I hear everybody in the NFT industry talks about those things. I took all of that to heart and I sat down and I scratched my head real hard. It's like, all right, what do I have that could make this a successful NFT project? And my answer, which is not the same as yours or anybody else's, but my answer was, I've been building roller coasters for people all over the world as physics, family, and fun for almost a decade. That is a community. And so now I want to bring that community together through the NFT project. And I want to bring NFT people not just into the roller coaster community. And dude, pretty much everybody loves a roller coaster, right? I mean, it's not a stretch. And what NFT people really love is they really love NFTs. They really love awesome examples. Gary Vaynerchuk, the main message of Gary Vaynerchuk's conference was, I've been building this community for 10 years. People are here not because of my NFTs, they're here because of me. And meanwhile, Gary is crushing it. But that type of engagement, that type of community, those things are few and far between right now in the industry. What I want to do is demonstrate that you don't have to be Gary V to build a real NFT project. And I even came up with, just, because I love Pareto so much, what I think an NFT project should be is it should be 20% NFT and 80% project. 80% real stuff that happens in the real world that we can talk about, gather around, discuss, benefit from. And then 20% is the tech and the this and the that and all the geeky stuff that we love to geek out about. But if we're going to make something out of this industry, it's got to be 80% project. And this one is at least 80% project.
Well, let's talk about that 80% project, Will. Mm-hmm. Besides the roller coaster, the mini Space Mountain, or what you call moonshot, yep, you also have plans for a solar farm with enough power to power 15 American homes, and there will be an 8-piece educational series on the building of the roller coaster. So very quickly, can you tell us how much you expect this all to cost, and also will all these projects, the solar farm, the roller coaster, as well as this 8-piece educational series that will be shown about the building of the roller coaster, will all that be funded by this NFT?
Yes, all of the above will be funded by the NFT, and so we're going to build the coaster. That'll be one of the most expensive parts. And if I told you, like, if I gave you the number, what I thought this whole thing was going to cost, I would just straight up be wrong. I mean, I don't know. The roller coaster will include a motion simulator ride to the moon. When you get to the moon, there will be a lunar habitat. There'll be like almost 800 square feet of lunar habitat and 6 museum quality stations where you can learn about hydroponics and 3D printing and solar power and propulsion and all of the important things that you need to know when you're on the moon. It'll be built and themed like a space station. And then something will happen. There'll be an adventure and you'll have to get on a rocket. Where is it? You have to get on the rocket, and that's going to be the roller coaster ride that's going to take you back to Earth. And some wonderful adventures will happen along the way, and I'm not going to tell you what they are. That's the coaster. It's going to cost a lot of money, more than I could ever raise in a Kickstarter, and more than I could ever pay for myself and stay married. So the solar farm that we're going to build, this is a 3,000 square foot room in a 9,000 square foot building. I've leased the roof of this building. And so we can put a 200,000 watt solar farm on the roof of this building. I came up with a better example. A 200,000 watt solar farm, if you think of a solar panel that lasts, a solar panel lasts about 20 years, give or take. They're very low maintenance, right? They just sit there and suck up light. A 200,000 watt solar farm is enough energy to power a 4-bedroom home for 400 years. It's a lot of electricity. So it won't be carbon neutral. It will be like deeply carbon negative, and carbon negative is good. It's like being COVID negative, carbon negative, COVID negative. So that's the second part of it. That's not going to cost too much, a few $100,000. But it's 400 years of energy for an American home, or, you can do the math and split that up however you like. And then the third one is the educational TV series. I'm friends with Carrie Byron, who's one of the original Mythbusters, and she's an amazing, she's a ball of light. I mean, she's a pioneer in so many ways. She was like the first woman to be on one of those kind of build shows, and she's an ambassador for STEM learning and STEAM learning. She owns, she's a partner and founder of Explore Media, and they make educational content for kids. Explore Media content streams to 2 million middle school and high school kids all day, every day. And they build this beautiful content. They write curriculum that goes with it. So Carrie and her team, or Carrie is going to executive produce Project Moonshot, which will be an 8-episode series that tells the story of the build, why the habitat, why the solar farm, how all of those things work, all the physics, family, and fun and math of making those things happen. The goal of the show, obviously, is to inspire kids like Mickey to get into science, to go learn something amazing, to see that like math isn't a pain in the ass. Math is where roller coasters come from. That's awesome. And so that content will last for decades, right? It's going to go to 2 million kids this year. As Explore grows, it'll be 3 million the year after that, 4 million, and so on. And it'll last forever. We're also financial people. We're going to manage that money. We're not going to just buy Lambos, right? We're not those people. So we're going to manage and invest that money so that next year we can think up some other crazy project. So in my mind's eye, this is the beginning of something amazing. I really believe that as the leaders of this space in Web3, we are leaving footprints on the moon, and everything we do matters deeply.
Now that's thank you for the clarification about the roller coaster is carbon neutral, not the other projects. Thank you for that clarification. Now, Will, talk to me about why you decided to launch the NFT project now. As you and I have talked about, there's a lot going on in the space, the NFT and the crypto space. Not all of it is good, right? Seems like every week there's news of another hack. I just saw about Bored Ape Yacht Club. There was another hack there. There's so many scams going on where people are trying to get the money of investors, and they call them rug pulls, slow rug pulls. And with NFTs, there's wash trading, there's counterfeits that people are trying to post online and sell. So with all these issues here, why is it a good time to launch an NFT?
Great question. I think from my perspective, so early May 15th, I think it was, there's an article in the New York Times, right? Crypto goes to hell in a bucket and all of everything. And there's a New York Times article says, the week in business, crypto, I'm reading it off the screen here. The week in business, crypto's death spiral, right? New York Times, party's over. We're all screwed, right? But guess what? On November 25th of 2001, there's an article in the New York Times. .com is .gone, and the dream with it. So now me personally, on November 25th, 2001, I was in my office at web.com building an amazing thing. I was figuring out stuff like alternate domain name suggestions because those didn't exist. If the domain you wanted wasn't there, how could we build a thing to suggest something to you? Because people weren't really good at it. We were figuring out ways to make domain registration easy for my mom, right? Because it was really complicated. The user interface was horrible. Sound familiar? Yeah, because it is. It's the same stuff. But like, there's always been a group of people who tell us how change is terrible and dead and we're not going to make it. And why don't we just keep riding horses, for goodness sake? That's fine with me. I don't give a poo about what other people think. And people who care what other people think, they live mediocre lives at best. And then the other thing for me is I also follow my set it on fire rule. I have already spent goodness knows how much building this project, right? And so we are seriously deficit spending on this thing right now, and that's okay with me because I'm willing to lose it all to make this come true. And I'm not throwing away anybody's money but my own, and I'm not promising returns for the people who join the project. I'm being super straightforward. We're going to build, we've got, my lawyer is writing terms of service into the smart contract. And so our smart contract will have the verbiage of our terms of service on the blockchain, public in front of God and everybody, with explicitly exactly what you can expect from us and what you can't expect from us. And we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to write that document and make sure it's on the blockchain. Because if guys like me don't do stuff like this, the industry will only be populated by people who want to do rug pulls and scams and all of that sort of stuff. There have to be good guys in the space. And I know this market, I know this technology, and I know how to do business. And I've got the time. So that's why now.
Okay, do you worry about issues such as piracy and counterfeits in the NFT world? Well, I mean, you're launching your coaster punks now, but let's say 6 months down the road, what if those are images are taken and posted somewhere else and copies of them are sold, right, or altered a little? This type of stuff is happening in the NFT world all the time. So as a creator, how do you think about those issues?
Well, again, it's, I wish it wouldn't happen. I know it will happen. I know people counterfeit US dollars all day, every day. I know people counterfeit everything all day, every day. And that's like a fact of life. I'm not certain that, and by which I mean I just flat don't know. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I'm not certain if counterfeit in the crypto world is more or less prevalent than counterfeit in the regular art world or the baseball card world or the comic book world or the US dollars world. I don't know. I would guess they're probably similar, or they will eventually level to that. And but what I do suspect is that crypto scams are like super interesting, right? It's like because this is something new, and so if we can point to, see, I told you. But I don't believe in managing to the exception. I don't believe that every single person out in the crypto world is out to screw everybody. I believe that there are exceptions where people are. I think those things are happening. But if you start to manage to the exceptions, you forget the rule, right? There's always more good guys than bad guys. You have to manage with the good guys in mind. And I'm not saying be an idiot. And then for our project in particular, if you want to counterfeit a coaster punk NFT, which is like, a collectible piece of art, that's okay. But like in terms of membership, in terms of like, getting a Disney VIP tour or coming to the launch event or coming and help with the build or meeting celebrities that we've got teed up or doing all of the, we're giving away flying lessons, which I think is awesome. All of that stuff, you're in our database or you're not. Right. And so you're not going to like go and counterfeit one of our NFTs and then come and benefit from our actual real life stuff. And remember, our project is 80% project. So yeah, you might be able to steal a JPEG, but frankly, don't put yourself out. Right click, save as. It's easy, right? But you won't be able to steal the membership. You won't be able to steal the experience. You won't be able to be part of this family unless you're part of this family.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that. For those of you just joining us, we are talking with Will Pemble. He is the founder of Coaster Punks, an NFT project that he is launching that aims to build the first carbon neutral roller coaster. He's sitting in the space where he will be building it right now in Connecticut. And he's also planning to build a solar farm and
Hmm.
produce an educational series. So his NFT will be crowdfunding all of those things. If anyone has a question for Will, just as a reminder, you can click on the bottom right of your screen. There's a react button. You will pick an emoji and then type a question in for Will. And after we have two or three more quick questions, we will get to the audience questions. So if you have a question, please go ahead and start typing your question for Will right now. He's here and available to talk, and he can answer any question, even if you think it's a little one. He likes answering questions, right, Will?
Yeah, I'm a talker.
Okay, so Will, I'm going to keep you to 1 minute for the last three questions, so we can get
All
to
right.
a few audience questions because we are running over.
Okay.
Um, we've talked about a lot of what you are planning on doing in terms of the roller coaster, in terms of the solar farm, and in terms of the educational series. Really ambitious, really interesting things that you're trying to do. For those of for those audience members who are just tuning in right now and who don't know much about NFTs and think, okay, this sounds all almost too good to be true, what would you say to them in a 1 minute synopsis? Why are you the person who can deliver this and not um, basically have this be something else that they put their money into that they're not going to get a benefit out of?
Sure. Okay, easy. On the roller coaster side of things, this won't be my first roller coaster. This will be my sixth roller coaster. I've built five other roller coasters before this one. You can see all of those on YouTube. If you really want to see the fanciest one, you can see the fifth roller coaster I built on Netflix. And so it is like a documented fact that I know how to do that stuff. I'm not talking out of my butt here when it comes to building roller coasters. And that's just me. There's a whole team of people behind me as well. On the solar farm, it's much less complicated to install a solar farm. If you're me, what I do is I write a check to a company that installs a solar farm, and that's the way we're going to do that. And so the solar farm is going to get built. I'll be in on it. They'll let me get my hands on it a little bit, but we're just going to pay money to write. We're just going to pay money for the solar farm because it's a good investment. Everybody should build one. As far as the TV shows, I am not executive producing the TV show. This is a science build TV show, and it's going to be executive produced by Carrie Byron, who for the last 15 or 20 years has been a known quantity in the science education space. She is revered. Carrie is a national treasure, and her television company, Explore Media, has been producing this content for almost a decade now. And so none of the stuff that we're doing is stuff that we haven't done before. We're not making shit up. This is all super, super real. And frankly, Kathy, if the NFT market doesn't want to get involved with this, we are very likely just going to do it anyway.
Okay, fantastic, Will.
How'd
That's
I
very
do? Was it
helpful.
less than a minute?
Now, I guess my last question for you here, and just to let you know, Will, we've there's been a problem simulcasting through our YouTube. I'm not really sure why. You and I haven't had technology problems this morning, but just as we jump on the show, of course, there are technology problems, right? But it is simulcasting here on Fireside, but that is why there may be an issue with getting audience questions in. Okay, so here's my last question for you, Will. Um, how do you define the crypto industry today? This doesn't have to do with roller coasters necessarily, but since the show is called Crypto Defined, we like to ask each and every guest, how would they define the crypto industry today, whether you're thinking short term or long term?
I think the crypto industry today is probably 80% people feeling their way around, right? We are all to a very large extent making it up as we go. And that's why, and so like I don't somebody with my level of financial education, my level of understanding of the financial markets and crypto, I think it might be presumptuous for me to try to define the crypto industry. That's a hell of a big question. For me, what the crypto industry is an opportunity to learn how we can use existing technologies to make tech and communication and money more available to more people. I really like the idea of the world being like less safe for old rich guys and more safe for young people. I really, really love that idea. Everything I do, I'm trying to make the world safe for Ellie Marie Pemble and Caitlin Farrell, who's sitting over there, pecking away at stuff as one of our summer gang. And so those are the people that I work for. It's like the world's fine for me. I'm perfectly safe. What I want crypto to be is a place where my kids and people like my kids can thrive.
And are we there yet, or do you think we'll be there in 5 years or 10 years? When do you think that will be a safe place for your kids to thrive?
That's another great question that anybody who could provide you a specific answer, I would I wouldn't trust them. I think what'll happen over the
Have
next
to
5
ask,
years.
right, Will?
No, I get it. I think over the next 5 years, sort of like the vernacular and the customs and the process and the user experience, user interface, I think those things are going to smooth out a lot over the next 5 years. 5 years from now, if you want to buy an NFT, it'll be just as easy as ordering something on Amazon. I know that'll happen. When that happens, we'll be able to start talking about the bigger, deeper questions. We'll get past Maslow's first level, right? We're at like food, shelter, clothing in crypto land right now. We've got to progress a little bit. We've got to solve some of the basic UI problems and the basic regulatory problems so that people can think about the more important stuff. If you're not worried about getting eaten by a tiger all day, every day, you can think about poetry, right? So I think that starts in about 5 years.
Okay, fantastic. Will can be found at Coaster Punks, correct, Will? And we will have a recap of our conversation with Will on Friday on troopdown.xyz. Will, thank you so much for your time today. Greatly appreciate it.
Oh, Kathy Chu, I'm grateful for the time. Call me if you need me.
Thank you very much. Audience members, we will have a recap for the week ahead. Will, I'm going to take you off the stage. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Here's a look at the week ahead in crypto and what you. We've seen a number of crypto giants rescind job offers, slow or freeze hiring. Coinbase was one of the biggest, and it's launched a public database of those that it rescinded offers to. It's a unique and new effort, and the hope is that they'll be able to find employers for those that they rescinded the job offers to. We'll be hearing more about those efforts in the weeks ahead and to see if it is indeed successful. Also in the week ahead, expect more analysis, criticism, and praise for the new bill by Republican Cynthia Lummis and Democrat Kirsten Gillibrand. One of the main features is that it gives oversight of much of the crypto world to the CFTC. The question is what that means for the SEC's assessment that most tokens are securities. Critics have said some of the provisions are technically impossible. We expect to hear more from the senators and from analysts about what the 69-page bill means. Finally, scams, and more scams. We've seen a string of high-profile hacks lately, some involving the Bored Ape Yacht Club. The question has now turned to what can be done about them, with some discussion that Discord servers may need to be used differently by some of the founders of these projects. It'll be interesting to watch these developments in the week ahead. According to the FTC, between January 2021 and March 2022, consumers lost more than $1 billion to cryptocurrency fraud, with the majority of these losses coming from bogus cryptocurrency investment opportunities. That's the latest for this edition of Crypto Defined for June 9th, 2022. Please visit truthdown.xyz for more stories and join our Discord and